Traveling the Vortex.
We've joined the Doctor as he travels the vortex and arrive at episode number 394. And remember, it's only a piece of stone.
So was Stonehenge until some idiot found the on switch.
Of course, he did in a later incarnation.
Very true. I'm Keith.
I'm Sean.
I'm Glenn.
How are you guys?
Which idiot was that, Glenn?
I think it was the 11th.
I think it was 11.
And I'm pretty sure 7 would definitely call 11 an idiot.
Probably, yeah. Although they
Yeah.
both have their manipulative ways, so
Yeah,
he might
they do.
see a kindred spirit in him as well.
But then when it goes wrong,
Yeah.
as it does for both of them.
As he called Ace an idiot when she went up and accepted the
Right.
suitor in this particular story. So hopefully everybody has listened to it so they know exactly what we're talking about.
Spoilers.
Exactly.
Did you guys have a good week?
Yeah, not bad. Just it was kind of a quick week. Didn't do a lot. Not much at work. Been watching some shows, but that's pretty much it. I did pick up Infinity War on Tuesday, and watched it Tuesday morning, and then I watched it Wednesday morning, and then I watched it Thursday morning, then I watched it Friday morning with audio commentary, and then I watched it this afternoon with the family, and that's
Wow.
so far it. Yeah, I've been watching it a lot. By Thursday, I was watching it while I was doing other things, so it was an
Background
intent to
noise,
it. Yeah. I watched much more of it than probably ended up being background noise because I would stop and find myself for 10 or 15 minutes going, oh yeah, I was picking up the living room. But yeah, I watched it a lot this week.
I also picked up Infinity War and have not watched it this week.
I have picked it up and have not watched it. But I didn't pick it up till Saturday.
I don't think there's anything left on it that I haven't watched because I've also watched all the
All the
bloopers,
bonus features
all of the featurettes. I flipped through all the stills, which I never do, but I flipped through all the stills. I've run the gamut of that disc. I've probably seen everything on that Blu-ray.
Wow.
I don't think I watched the intro by the
The director's intro?
yeah, the directors, but it's usually only about 2 or 3 minutes, and then
Yeah.
they go into the movie.
Yeah.
But maybe on my next watch, I'll watch it with the intro.
I rewatched Black Panther. That's
Oh,
how far behind
cool.
I am on rewatching my Marvel movies because I just got it.
Did you not? Well, you didn't watch it when you were going through the rewatch, right?
Right.
With us, yeah, that was
Yeah.
the one that you skipped because you
Yeah,
hadn't bought
because
it.
I'd
So.
already seen it
Right.
at that point. Yeah.
Well, I guess we all had to see it in the theater, didn't we? Because that was
Yeah,
the
it just
one that was
a
out of
second
order.
viewing in the
Yeah,
theater.
Yeah,
Yeah. I only saw it once as opposed to...
It came out, though, before...
it
Not on-
did.
Not on Blu-ray.
It came out in the movie theaters.
No.
while we
I
were
meant
doing
on
the
Blu-ray.
rewatch.
Wasn't it on
No,
Blu-ray
it
before?
wasn't on
No.
Blu-ray. No, it was in the theaters.
It was after.
And I think I went and watched it in the theater the week that it was in the theater. Rewatched
It was still in the big theater.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
rewatched
it was still in the big theater
Because
like 2 weeks after
Remember,
Infinity War
I
came
was
out.
getting ready to go, and I said, unfortunately, it didn't make it out of the big theater, so I'm going to have to pay full price. So.
I used my movie pass. That was before they changed it again.
That has a director's intro, too. I watched that.
I haven't watched. I watched a few of the extras on, but
I only watched the bloopers, the deleted scenes,
watched the bloopers. I don't think I even watched the deleted scenes.
and
on that
the
one.
interconnected 10 years of Marvel.
I watched
featurette.
that one too. I do remember that one. Yeah.
Of course, after Infinity War, it's kind of...
Yeah.
It's not as tantalizing.
Yeah, I would agree.
Especially when the Blu-ray comes out after Infinity War. Okay.
Right.
You almost could have dropped some spoilers in it at that point, and it wouldn't have mattered.
Right.
Instead of teasing it.
Did you watch anything else,
That's all I watched this week.
Sean?
I watched Proud Mary. It was all right.
Which one's that?
It's I can't remember. I don't know how to pronounce her name. Taraji P. Henson.
Oh, okay.
She's on Empire.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
It's that revenge gunplay, shoot 'em up.
Oh, I do remember seeing that. Yeah.
It kind of there and gone in theaters. But
Yeah.
we've had the Blu-ray sitting at home for a while, and finally got to it this weekend. Like I said, it wasn't bad. It was there were parts of it that were really, really good, and other parts of it that was like, okay, you're boring me.
Glenn did get me a birthday gift. 5 Minute Dungeon. It's a board game. A chaotic cooperative real-time card game. And I can't wait to play it. It sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, I stood in the store for about 30 minutes looking at games. I found a bunch that I thought, oh, he'd like this. He'd like this. And I just kept coming back to that one. I came back to that one a final time, and I thought, well, it's 2 players, so we can play it with Sarah. And
in
just
7 years, I can play it with Gemma.
Yeah, that's true. And it just looks like it's fun.
Yeah.
It looks fast-paced.
The art is fantastic. I love the art.
It was comical, too.
Yeah.
Because it looks like an actual family that have become
it does. It looks like Ron
adventurers.
Swanson there.
Yeah, it does.
Unlike Dungeons and Dragons, which they did not look like they belong together.
No, yeah. Yeah, I'll give a review once I get around to playing it.
Yeah, let us know.
Hopefully that will be soon.
Maybe we can play together or something.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else?
We did a little project this weekend.
Yeah.
You guys want to talk about that?
Big project this weekend. Go ahead.
Oh,
how'd it go?
You can't set it up and then not talk about it.
Oh, I could. I just did.
All right, let's move on to news.
No, we took part in the 48-hour film project this weekend. And Keith, I don't know, he was busy or something. He elected not to show up.
He's always busy.
Anniversary.
Yeah, I know.
He's always busy.
There are times I didn't realize it was going on until the day I saw your messages coming through of, here are our ideas. What ideas? What's going on?
In fairness, we didn't get a lot of heads up on it because we never know for sure if Dave's A, available, B, willing to pay for it, C, really committed. There's a lot of talk usually, and this time he was, so we got about 2 weeks headway. But yeah, we made another movie this weekend. So
I think it's great. I really like it.
I got 2 months headway. How did you only get 2 weeks?
We knew that it was coming up, but we didn't know for sure that Berkeley had paid to, we're in.
Yeah.
That didn't happen until 2 weeks ago.
Right, okay. Because he told me 2 months ago, he says, that's coming up. Are you interested? And I said, yeah, I'd definitely do it.
Oh, yeah, he gave me that kind of notice. Yeah. I said, yeah, I'm always available and interested. And then it was, we're actually doing it. Okay, clear the calendar.
I didn't even get that. I had the calendar cleared.
Cleared it for him.
Of course, I have to have 2 months because if I don't, then of course that didn't matter this week anyway. Because that was another thing that Caitlin and I did. Maybe I'll jump there first before we talk about the phone. We went to the library and did the writers' workshop.
How was that?
This weekend. It was interesting. One of the reasons that I wanted to do is Caitlin was not able to take creative writing class this year. She had mix-up with her schedule at school, and she ended up having to drop it. And she seemed really bummed about it. So when I saw that they were offering it at the library, I thought, I'll ask her if she wants to do it. She's a sophomore. And so I said, do you want to do it? And she said, yeah, absolutely. And so when Caitlin says she wants to do something, you have to jump on it because a lot of times she doesn't want to do stuff. And so I was like, okay. And so, so I took her Saturday morning, and it was supposed to go. It went till 2:30. We actually left right after lunch because the first speaker was really good. We got a lot out of it. She talked about writing dialogue for like scripts and things like that. We both really got a lot out of that one. The second guy was really engaging. He's a Topeka High graduate who's a professor over at Lawrence now. Talked about telling a good story. The next gal was talking about this really cool machine that you basically order your book. You get your book online, you order it, and they print it in the store right there in this machine. And it binds it and everything. And it's really cool. But the really even cooler thing about it is you can take your own work, your own PDF over there. They plug it in, and it prints it and bounds it and puts it. All you have to do is have a PDF file of the contents, and you have to have a PDF file for the cover. And it prints it, binds it, puts it all together. It's at a bookstore in Emporium.
Wow.
Yes. So, but the first part of that was really interesting because she was telling us about it, showed us a video about it, but then it turned into like almost an advertisement for her and her bookstore, and Caitlin and I both kind of lost interest. The next guy talked a little bit about science and science fiction, but he went into this whole weird thing about, he related more about what is science and not really applying it, so it was kind of a misinformation as far as how at least Caitlin and I took it.
That kind of becomes pseudoscience, doesn't it?
Then we went to lunch and we came back. We started the final lecture, but she was talking more about publishing and getting your books into a publisher's hands or self-publish. And we went about 10 minutes into that and realized we're way far from this. We're just getting started writing, both of us. And Caitlin was kind of bored. And so I said, well, we could probably cut out. So we cut out probably about a half hour early and went home and rested for a little bit because we had to go get Mason. So while Mason's getting ready, Caitlin and I just kind of hung out and waited. And actually, we had to change clothes too. And then, jumped in the car and went over to Dave's. So.
I wish I had gone to the writer's workshop instead of doing what I was doing.
You were a writer's workshop.
Yeah, when did you finish writing this one?
I didn't.
Oh, you did? Well, I guess there's no dialogue.
That's kind of a fun thing because we drew silent film for our genre, and so there's no dialogue.
To be fair, I went over Friday night. We brainstormed some ideas. Sean came over later. We continued to brainstorm some ideas. We narrowed down to an idea. To be fair, then I left because I knew I was going in the morning, and he and Dave set for another 2.5 hours, right? And
I'm not sure what time you left, but yeah.
I think I left about 1, and you got home at 3:30.
About 3:30. Yeah, I guess it was that long.
About 2.5 hours. They outlined it, so they had the outline done by 3:30.
He asked me, he says, "Do you feel like you need to write a script?" And I was like, "No," because it's really, this one more than anything is just a series of unfortunate events,
right?
And so there was no plot.
Actually, they kind of storyboarded, I guess, is what they did.
Yeah, storyboarding maybe is we just had to make sure that the events linked together in a certain domino chain. And we had the events, and then it was just a matter. And we actually cut a bunch of them out. There was way more in the initial concept that just didn't need to be there. But no, I spent the morning as a joke. There's a pair of footballers, and if any of you have watched our previous films, we did one in Junction City called Immaculate Reception. Where Patrick says, "Go long," and I take off and run through 8 different locations in Junction City and then make this miracle catch, but down by the river. And it's very funny. And I stupidly suggested, I was like, just for fun, we need to bring Patrick in to play the quarterback in this film. And I'll be the receiver. Dave goes, "Yeah, you be the receiver." And then I realized what I said. I don't want to run.
Or catch.
Okay, if I was going to pull things, I should have said, "You know what? I'll be the magician at the birthday party. I'll go get the red shirt and the bow tie."
We should have
done that. I could have pulled a rabbit out of a hat and everything, but no, I would be the receiver. So he starts filming, and he's filming James over at the barbecue grill, and I'm supposed to be in the background running patterns, not for any reason other than he needs me in the background. And then he says, "On this one, I want you to just run straight for the camera as fast as you can." I said, "Okay." He yells action, and I take off. And I realize that where he's got the camera, he's just behind the barbecue grill, which is now, it's going to be, between me and him. And there's a table, and there's some chairs, and I'm trucking. So I start to shift direction a little bit, and I realize the reason I'm trucking is because I'm going downhill. And then I fell over. Oof. Like, straight out, slide into home, face first, just into the ground. And Dave looked up with his big, wide eyes. Goes, "Did you do that on purpose?" And I was like, yes, I did. And he says, "Well, we'll have to superimpose the football in." But it looked great. I got it on camera. I was like, "Okay, good." And I limped off. And after I sat for a few minutes, I realized that I can't put any weight on my knee. If I bend it at all, it gives out, and this is excruciatingly pain. I can stand on it, but that's about it.
Ouch.
So I sat for the rest of the day with ice on it while everybody else got to have fun and be in the movie.
So you were no longer a receiver?
Nope.
He's still in it. He made a couple of running across the background.
I'm going to have to rewatch it and look closer to the background.
Just look in the background for a black shirt. That's me.
He runs across a couple of times while they're playing, but he's not running to catch any balls at that point. But the shots of him running in the background all before that happened, because by the time I got there, he had already injured himself. So. The other cool thing, and you might appreciate this, the very first film that we all made, 12/21.
Right.
And Caitlin, and had the reverse and forward, and Caitlin lets go of a balloon. She's like
3-year-old
Caitlin. Yeah. 3-year-old Kate, or 15-year-old Caitlin is releasing a balloon. Actually, it's coming back to her in this one, which we snuck in the night before too, because we were like, well, Caitlin should be the one with the balloon, because it makes sense. It goes back to
she was 3 then.
She was 3.
3 or 4. Yeah.
Makes me feel so old.
We also realized this is the second exploding barbecue girl.
Oh, that's right, because in what was it called? Don't Dream It Be It.
Don't Dream It Be It.
Yeah.
So quite inadvertently, we came up with a script that basically just rips off all our other films. It's samples.
I did think it was funny that when we were throwing out ideas for it over Facebook, when Dave went over and you said, "Wait a minute, we've done this film before," because one of our categories was also sports that we could have done.
Yeah,
and we managed to get sport into this one because I think we've told our listeners this before, but we usually get
try to do all
two
the criteria.
Yeah, we usually get two. We try to do all the criteria. We usually get two subjects that we could do. You pick one or the other. We always end up doing both. So we got some sports in this one too.
Much more of a silent film than a sports film.
Much more. Much more. Anyway, so wish us luck. It made it to the competition on time tonight, and I guess we'll find out. I think
it's in 2 weeks. Yeah, they usually give a week to judge, and then they bring everybody in on the following. Right. So.
Well, I wish you guys luck.
Thanks. I wish you would come to one.
Well, maybe next time. Jimmy's getting old enough she can run around in the background and be an extra.
That's right. So. That's right.
I miss
That's
Dr.
what I
started.
That's what I started doing, was taking my kids to be in them, and Sean takes Shy to be in them. So
I noticed Shy in it, running with Mel.
Yep. All right, let's move on to news.
Only one bit of news this week.
Shy got a bigger part than I did.
You're in all of them.
Yeah, that's true. I've had my 15 minutes.
In news, there's more Torchwood and Doctor Who Big Finish Humble Bundle.
Yeah.
So you can get $370 worth of digital audiobooks, and you pay what you want.
And as we're recording this, we have 9 more days on that Humble Bundle.
9 more days and 14 hours.
I always say Humble Bumble. Every time.
So included,
Bumbles bounce.
You can pay $1 for Short Trips Volume 1 through 4.
If you want to know what the prices are, go to the website, and you can find them there.
There's some good
What
ones,
are some of the titles? Let's do that.
That's what I was trying to pull.
In the show notes.
Torchwood the Conspiracy. Dark Wars 1. Tom Baker at 80. This is Colin Baker. And then also the Philip Hinchcliffe Presents Volume 1. Along with a whole bunch of Torchwood.
Yeah, there's a bunch of Torchwood.
I think it gets you pretty much all of the first season of Torchwood.
Very cool. Be sure to check that out before time's up.
Yeah.
Hopefully I get this episode out before the 9 days is up. They're running kind of late with my weeks this week. This time.
Almost asked.
I kind of wish you had, because actually the reason this one was late was I knew I wasn't going to get to it Tuesday, because we recorded Monday this week.
Right,
I knew I wasn't going to get to it until Tuesday night maybe. And then Wednesday went by, and I had forgotten, thinking that I had done it on Tuesday night. Oh. And then I think it was Thursday is when I got it out, and I realized I haven't done that. No, I think I got it Wednesday. Anyway, whatever.
I think it was late. I think it might have even been Friday.
Yeah, I think it actually posted on Friday.
No, it would have, probably Friday early morning, because I did it Thursday night. Yeah, so it was over.
I think it was Friday.
So, Wednesday I completely forgot about it, and it wasn't until Thursday I went, I haven't done that this week.
It was either Thursday or Friday that I went and changed because I realized I hadn't updated the Facebook thing, and that's what triggered me that, wait a minute, I don't think it's up yet.
Yeah, you changed it Friday. I think I did it Thursday night. No, maybe I did it Friday morning.
Well, whenever it went out, we apologize.
Now that I think about it was in the morning.
Yep.
So our show comes out on Fridays now, so just so you're aware.
I've just decided we will do our
so I think I posted
on Monday.
I think I posted it on Friday last time, didn't I? Or was it Saturday last week?
I think it was Saturday.
Yeah, because I had the garage sale, so it was after we got done with that.
It was late.
Anyway, just be glad you got it. No, I'll try not to forget this week that I have it to do. But these late weeks recording and all
it throws
the
schedule off.
It really does.
It's thrown me off. I still have not recovered from the days that we were doing our rehearsals and the days that I had election. I still get to the end of the week and think that I've got more week left, and then realize it's a nice surprise when I go, I thought it was Wednesday. It's Friday.
It's way better than the reverse.
Yeah. Well, no, but that happens at the beginning of the week, because like a Tuesday, and I'm thinking, I think it's Friday. No, it's not Friday. I always know when it's Monday, but
yeah, that's for sure.
All right. Well, do we have any feedback this week, Keith?
No feedback.
What if they wanted to send us some feedback? How would they do
they
that?
can send it by going to our website, travelingthevortex.com, and fill out the Send Us Feedback tab, or directly to feedback@travelingthevortex.com. You can also reach out to us on any form of social media.
And how many L's are in that?
I didn't know there was
just
one
spelling. Just one. Social, Sociial.
That's
just
right.
One.
Only just one L in social.
And one L in travel.
When you go to our website, also please consider supporting us on Patreon. And if you're already supporting us on Patreon, thank you very much. All right, should we move on to our review?
Let's. The Dark Husband. This whole wedding's like making a nuclear bomb with half the instructions missing. A week-long respite from prolonged and bloody war, the festival of the twin moons of Tuin makes Glastonbury look like a church fete. Or so the brochure says. The Doctor and Ace are looking for rest and relaxation. Hex is looking for the beer tent. But eternal enemies in the ginger-haired Ree and the coot-bald Ear are plotting to turn their festival truce to their own advantage. Only the Dark Husband might stop the celebrations turning to horror. But who is the Dark Husband? And what terror awaits him on his wedding night? If anyone knows any just or cause or impediments, speak now. The lives of billions depend on it.
Bum, bum, bum.
I quite like this one.
I quite liked this one.
I'm torn about this one.
Uh-oh.
There's a lot I liked about it. And in the end, I think it gets kind of weird. But the reason I'm torn about it is I like the manipulative Seventh Doctor, and I like it when sometimes his manipulations and plans fail. It feels like it's becoming a little bit of a crutch for Big Finish, that has this big master plan and that he's not telling his companions about, and then it doesn't go the way he thinks it's going to. It feels like it's becoming too repetitive for the audio version of the Seventh Doctor when it wasn't.
I can see where you're coming from there,
and that's really
I haven't started feeling that way yet, but I can see what you're saying.
And I think that's my biggest complaint about it. The rest of it was quite enjoyable, even with the Living Planet.
I agree with you there. Added to that is, and maybe this is just a product of the companions, because we get yet another Ace and Hex story where we land in the middle of a war.
Right.
It just seems like this is the thing for their entire run.
Well, but they also get to keep calling the Doctor out on trying to hide what's going on.
That's what makes this one work better for me than some of the other ones that we've had recently.
Well, they've started doing it more frequently.
It's a bit of a farce. And whereas before they would kind of call him out on it, but not necessarily. In this one, they're flat out calling him out on it, but they're not really mad about it because it's written as a comedy.
Right,
so they're just kind of like, oh yeah, we're going to here and do that.
Well,
you printed those brochures, didn't you?
And an exact example of that is when they're in the one place where he's the room of reflection or whatever that they're supposed to be, and they all end up in there, and he's calling out, I know you're there, I don't like to be manipulated. And Ace says, that's the pot going kettle black.
Yeah.
And I also liked that with the end resolution where Ace says, what you told me to think of something that made me happy, and it was you and the things that I loved, you and the TARDIS and my life. And that, I think, kind of, because we've had that friction kind of building about the manipulation, but yet at the same time, I don't think Ace would have it any other way at this point. It's kind of like, okay.
And I she always seems to, it's Hex right now that is learning about the manipulative Doctor. Hey, Ace always seems to, while sometimes complaining about it, and she has in recent stories that we've read, she always still ends up kind of defaulting to defending him about it, and even to when Hex brings it up. Well, he just does that. So she's very defensive of the Doctor when Hex brings it up that, we're being manipulated again. So it still seemed right that she said that, and you're right. She does kind of, that's part of her life, and she now.
But how much of that do you think is directly influenced by Ghostlight?
You can trace everything back to Ghostlight.
That was my point.
I suppose that's true.
Because in a way, Ghostlight's kind of the ultimate manipulation.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Between those two characters.
Yeah. Even anything Big Finish has done has never been to that scale.
Just any excuse to throw a little more golden love on Ghostlight.
It deserves all it gets. All the love it gets.
It definitely deserves all the love it gets. That I will 100% agree with. I don't think there's a lot of love coming its way. No, I
Was Ori the gruff big guy?
Yeah.
Did anybody
The
just
highlight-
kept picturing Brian Blessed?
I
in
had
their
to go
head?
look up to see if it
I-
was
I
Brian
knew it
Blessed.
wasn't. I knew it wasn't. But every time he would talk, I kept thinking,
it was
"This is so Brian Blessed."
totally
This
a
is
Brian Blessed
so
send-up.
Brian Blessed.
But it was almost a mix between Brian Blessed and I just blanked on his name, the guy from Lord of the Rings.
Oh, Gimli.
Gimli.
Yeah. It's kind of a mix between those two.
Yeah, I can see that. Especially since he's Ginger.
Yeah.
Or Ginger, rather, I think.
Ginger.
Hex. Is that how some people over there say Ginger?
I've never heard it pronounced that
Ginger.
way.
I had
so
never heard that either. And then I was
maybe
like...
it's just the sci-fi way of saying ginger.
And I thought, are they saying, does he mean Ginger? Surely he didn't read it that way. That must be a pronunciation. Maybe it's a regional thing for them. And I kept thinking, okay, I'm just going to assume he means ginger. But at the end, Ace says ginger. So I was like, okay, well, it must have been what Hex meant.
It
But
just
boy,
means
it's
a dialect
thing. But it
His
sure bugged
accent
the heck out
sometimes
of me.
Yeah.
As
I don't mind
opposed
his
to,
accent, but boy, that just Ginger was, ugh.
As opposed to William Shatner in the Star Trek animated series dealing with the pirates of Orion. It's like, there wasn't a script editor on
Nobody
hand
told
that
you-
day when you guys recorded that to correct him.
You think a producer would say something?
You would think, but
Well, Benjamin Cumberbatch called penguins penguins. Penguins.
It's true.
it's one of the best pieces of the internet right there.
The penguin. Nobody sat in a room and said, "You're doing
He's
great.
pronouncing it wrong.
This sounds really good. The inflection of your voice is terrific. Exactly what we're looking for. But maybe if you said penguins instead of penguins, might be better." Nobody told Hex. It's probably better saying ginger.
Ginger.
The guys in the booth were doubled up laughing too hard, and they just said,
No.
Do you think
The
it was a
first
slip,
time-
or do you
the
think it
first
was?
time was what? What did he say?
What did you?
I
How
thought
did
he
he
said
say that?
penguin. How did he say? Okay, well, I'm probably just hearing things. Wait, did he just say it again? What? Hang on. Should we stop? No, wait. No, just keep going. Keep going. See what happens. Oh my gosh, he is saying penguins. Should we stop? No, this is too funny. Okay, well, okay. Oh my God, he said it again. Can you believe he said it again? That's what I imagine happened in the audio bay.
Make
Yep.
sure the talk back mic isn't on.
If only we'd gotten Brian Blessed, this story would have just really super elevated.
That much better.
That
Oh,
much
I
better.
know. Yeah.
Not that this guy was bad, but
He was a good Brian Blessed impersonator.
Oh, this guy's great. I thoroughly enjoyed him, and I thoroughly enjoyed Errant. Was that the other one? Do I have them backwards? I mean, I'm just
No, you have it right.
I'm looking at their names
You're
in
it.
front of me here. I kind of the concept was neat. I like the fact that they land and there's mass graves everywhere because it's a warring planet for 10 millennia, and they have the one side that are the bold, thinking side, the very technical, the kind of plan things out, orchestrate the plans. And you got the one side that's just the really brave and brash and run in and the setup of it was really cool because they hooked me. I thought, oh yeah, they've landed millennia later and don't realize that this festival doesn't happen anymore.
Right.
And
Yeah.
this planet has been decimated. Something's going on here, and they get captured, and then they get captured from their captors. And when they get there and they're about to be killed, and the doctor recognizes the siren or the bells or whatever it was that was going off in the background. I don't remember what he called it, but it was the calling to the festival. And the fact that, this festival actually still goes on, that they basically call a ceasefire for this festival every year because it's a tradition. And I thought, or every 500 years,
It was
or
like,
50
every
years or something like
500
that, something
years.
like that. And so it was coming very clear at that time that he had manipulated this. He didn't lie to them. They were going to this festival, but he had manipulated them into this position and knew exactly what he was doing. So
Well, then even as you get further into the story and discover that these two species were originally one and diverged and evolved differently, I think is a really cool idea.
and painting the religion as, especially
And the
when
fact
they
that
go
they
to
still share the same religion.
Yeah, when they go to the fire and they're talking about the two different viewpoints, that they have varying stories in the same view, but it's very much the same story,
Yeah.
just obviously crafted slightly differently to favor one side or the other. Which that kind of clued me into more that, there's a lot more about that joins them better than the separation that they've created for themselves.
Yeah. Well, and it's one of those moral stories that there's more similarities than differences that divide us, and even in alien planets.
And the fun thing with this one is because it's so entertainingly told, I didn't find myself really struggling to get to the why.
Yeah, agreed.
A lot of times when I'm presented with a puzzle within Doctor Who, I tend to trip over myself a little bit going, why is that? You gave me this awesome nugget of science. Give me the why now. I really want to get... And then I have to sit through the part 3 info dump. Right. And then maybe in part 4 we get around to the why. And it's like, oh, finally. And this one, I didn't care. I was so along for the ride and having so much fun with it. And all the little twists and turns and, the betrayal of... or what did they call themselves when they... the distractions, or when Ace and Hex were off separately. And then it's like, oh, surprise, we're not actually doing anything. And they left. I don't remember what they called it, but it just...
I'm not sure.
They did call them the distractions.
Distractions of honor or something. I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just, as it just went and it got more absurd. And I mean, like I said, it's not a farce. It doesn't quite cross over into that.
No, it's certainly
realm.
not. But it is. It's written.
It's not
to be
bang bang a boom.
Yeah, it's written to be a lot of humor injected into it, and almost it skirts the edge of farce.
It very much skirts the edge of it.
So the guy who wrote this has a semi-regular BBC Two radio spoof documentary series.
Quantrell, what's his name?
Quantick. David Quantick. The series is called The Blagger's Guide 2, and he did Doctor Who in 2013.
Oh,
that may be worth trying to track down. So, I mean, it fits the fact that it is almost farce, kind of fits into his wheelhouse, it seems.
Yeah. I also...
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
The Hex stuff, and have I missed the signs previously that he's falling for Ace, or that he's in love with Ace?
Apparently so.
I've always
before this story,
I've always kind of wondered, and I don't remember which story it was. I brought it up, and I think it was you who argued, and it was like, no, they're more brother sister. It's not a.
That's the impression I've always had,
and I kind of backed off and said, well, all right.
No, I did. No, you're right. I did, but I think it was earlier on, because I think at one point we hit a story and I thought, I sort of think that they are going to this direction. But I think when I said, I think, no, it's more brother and sister, because I had misremembered. I know it was a while back, not the last few Hex stories.
It was early in the run.
Because I had misremembered thinking that Hex ends up being revealed as her brother. Is what I thought.
Oh.
And then we went on and we heard a few more, and I thought that can't be right, because they do feel like they're doing more of a romantic connection here than anything else. And so, yeah, I have seen it since. Yeah, I said no, because I think early on I did feel maybe I was tainted by the fact that I thought that there was going to be this big reveal later that they were brother and sister. But
didn't we wind up doing a story that did have her actual brother in it? Is that why you stopped thinking?
Yeah, well, I think somebody reminded me of that later.
One.
Yeah, somebody reminded me of that later.
Yeah.
So yeah,
although
I
think what it was is
one way, but I think at least the last few stories have been going that way.
Okay.
I think realistically, there's only been, I think it was one line that Hex had in one of the third or fourth story that it was like, oh, I think he might be thinking. But to your question, no, I think Ace is probably still on the brother and sister wave.
Most definitely
on Ace's even in this.
I think this clarifies it there at the end too, by her saying him and the TARDIS and her life, and then Hex, football, and stuff.
Yeah, with Hex, it was painfully obvious when he was like, "Oh, we're gonna be married, isn't that cool?" And she's like, "No." Oh, really?
Well,
okay.
He seems so upset at the idea of Ace marrying the Doctor, even though it was just a ceremonial thing that wouldn't actually mean anything once they got back in the TARDIS. He seems so hurt and upset and jealous over
jealous
the
is
idea.
what I would
Yeah.
say. Yeah, jealous is the best description for that. You could tell he was jealous.
Which is interesting, too, that we never really got... I anticipated a slightly stronger reaction from Ace when that came out. When it was revealed that, oh, well, you interfered, so now you're the bride. And when they put two and two together and said, oh, yeah, you're going to marry the Doctor, I really expected her to be like, oh, and just...
Yeah, I kind of...
I felt like maybe she was going to give a much stronger reaction, but she seemed to roll with it. I was like, yeah, all right, whatever.
I don't know. I sort of think we're dealing with a more mature Ace.
We're definitely dealing with a more mature
Ace. It's not 16-year-old Ace just joining the Doctor. They've been traveling for a while. I didn't get that. If this had been early Ace, then yeah, I would have thought she would react that way. But no, I think we've listened, at least from my point of view, we've listened to enough stories that no, I really felt like I didn't expect her to be surprised at this point, especially after what she went through in Colditz.
Yeah, no, they've just moved into being such really good friends at this point that I at this point in their story, I feel like it's not mentor and student anymore.
Right.
I feel like they're almost on equal footing in some ways. Obviously not in celestial knowledge, but
Sure.
And so they're just really, really good friends at this point, and in some way shades of the Fourth Doctor and Sarah Jane is kind of how Seven and Ace fit together in my head.
See that?
But,
yeah, I also think bringing Hex on board, she feels that she's in a more mentor role than she was
Hex,
before.
yeah.
So I think that's, at least in her head, puts her on a little higher field than she would have been when she started out with the Doctor.
Yeah, to some extent, Hex is almost like Rory. Not quite to that level of truly Amy's companion or Ace's companion instead of the Doctor's, but there is a little bit of that dynamic.
Yeah.
I had a thought, and it just...
Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, you're okay. Going back to the two worlds, and yet the same. I feel like this was a very subtle meta joke in a way, that the two races, because you've got ones that are all impulse and instinct and just going forth to do something, and then you've got the others which seem to be very calculating and manipulative, and it's like, wow, if that just doesn't sum up both sides of the Doctor.
Yeah,
okay.
That's a good point.
That's just because we've had, even within Seven, but we've certainly had incarnations that are more rush in, Baker, and the Seventh Doctor is very much the manipulative one. So I kind of felt like maybe that's another level they were going
I hadn't
for.
thought of that.
Well, I think they were on a certain level too. It's the Doctor and Ace. I think Ace is a little more strong and run in.
Mm-hmm.
She reminds me of the the Where, and I said it right, and the
Re.
Thank you, the Re, and the Doctor is more like the Ear. So it just.
I love the fact that Ori was actually a female version of the Re.
Yeah.
I thought that was fantastic.
And Hex seemed genuinely upset when she left to go get married too.
Yeah, it's true.
Poor Hex falls in love with everybody.
Mm-hmm. What do you guys think of the ego aspect of things?
Ego, the living planet.
Oh yeah, Turin.
I thought it was cool. I enjoyed the fact that we didn't have. I don't know. It wasn't an alien influence. It wasn't a, external force. It was just, it's the planet.
Yeah.
And in Doctor Who, that's not a nutty idea.
No, it's not.
In Guardians of the Galaxy, it's borderline nutty, but
Well,
they're weird enough. It's like, yeah, okay.
We've already had planet gods because we had, or at least from our perspective, because we had the one on the planet where they sing to it.
Yeah.
Akaton.
Yeah, Rings of Akaton.
And the moon was an egg.
And the moon was an egg. So
Of course, that's retroactive.
Yeah.
The planet's alive and a god. All right.
Well, if the planet is alive, it makes sense that the beings on it would treat it as a god.
Yes.
It's just the idea of a planet being alive in that sentient sense is something I kind of struggle with as a storytelling.
Well, as opposed
technique.
to something like, which one is it? The Sixth Doctor, Trial of the Time Lord, first one.
Mysterious Planet?
Or Mysterious.
Mysterious Planet. Okay, it's a robot that's in charge of everything who's being deified.
Right.
Yeah, okay, that's we've seen that before. And everything. Oh no, it's the whole planet, and the planet is aware. Yeah, I'm a god. Oh, okay. It's I kind of
so much so that he calls the Doctor out for blasphemy.
Yeah. I kind of appreciated that it wasn't just a delusional computer or a robot playing God. That was just
Or
out to
some
smite everybody.
person being manipulative.
Or the master, or any number of other things. Like, nope.
I did have that thought at one point.
The planet's a god. Oh, cool. So I liked that.
Yeah, I did too. I think one thing that wasn't made clear, and maybe you guys caught it and I just didn't, was how the Doctor knew to go there initially and know what he, or got the info. How did he get the information that he knew that he had to invoke this wedding?
From the stone that they were looking at.
Okay, but wasn't that later?
No, that was before. That was when they first arrived.
When they first arrived,
when they
before
first
the
arrived,
festivals,
he saw a stone there.
because all
Yeah.
the graves are buried in
Okay,
circles
so
around
I
the
missed
stone.
that. Okay,
Yeah.
that was a key piece that I was
before
missing
they ever
there.
got captured.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah, they made. There's a drop
'Cause I-
line
'cause I
early
know
about the
he-
way the graves are orientated.
right.
Before they call attention to it later, when they go, that's why they're both part of the same religion, because
Right.
they
Okay.
share
Well,
that.
and
I-
then later they also made mention that, well, I need to go back to that stone and read more about this.
Well, he
wedding.
knew he went to the stone, but that's what I missed. Is I didn't think it. I thought that stone was he was coming back after one of those, after he become the
Dark Husband.
Dark Husband, and they had given him a rule book or whatever. And then I thought maybe that's where he was going back to get that information. So I missed that key point. So.
Yeah.
And in the tradition of bizarro robot sidekicks that wind up being comedic relief.
The bards.
The bards. What do we think about the reject idea?
The reject.
The fact that they're stamped reject because the whole enterprise was the planet's a god, but only because it doesn't work.
Right.
I forgot about that
I did
aspect of
too.
it. That made me a bit more okay with the living planet idea.
So what did he call it? A terraformer or something that
Yeah.
just to get gone wrong. And,
Gone wrong. Yeah.
a little reminiscent of the Cannibalists, with the fact that there was just this little bit of code in the programming that made all the robots go wonky, and this was just whatever. We just chuck it out the door and let it go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, those are the ideas that I really appreciate. I want to know so much more about this. I'm not upset by it, but just the idea that this is a universe in which there is a manufacturing plant out there that builds these things
That doesn't do proper QC.
in mass. There's an assembly line that these things are just churned out and spread throughout the universe, and one or two of them go bad every now and then.
How are the defective ones even allowed to leave the assembly line? I guess. And actually get to a solar system.
Do you
to create
suppose that they're probably commissioned by mice?
Maybe. What a nutty idea. The only thing that would have made it, instead of the rejected stamp, is if he had crawled inside a cave that led all the way down to the center of the planet, and somewhere inside was a giant scroll that said "inspected by number 12." That way, it's the same kind of absurdity.
It's true. So Ori, Irit, and Tuin were all voiced by the same person.
Oh, is that right?
Really?
Yeah. And if you go to the credits, it's all anagrams of his name.
Danny Webb. And
Danny Webb is his
Andy
actual
B.
name.
Noob and
Benny Daub.
Benny Daub. I'll be darned.
Huh. Well, that's an amazing piece of work
That
right
is
there.
an amazing piece of work.
Because
You can't tell that at all.
it's a wonderful bit of layering, based on what the story is. That, well, of course, they're all the same
They all
person.
come from the
They're
same,
all-
yeah.
But I didn't pick up on that.
Oh, I wouldn't know unless I saw it here.
The wiki, yeah.
I really enjoyed all the voice casts in this one. Again, not that there's ever a bad one, but
Well, you mean all four of them?
all
now?
four of them.
Well, the bards had different voices.
Yeah, the boards were.
But as small of a role as they had.
Sylvester and Ace, I thought were particularly good.
Yeah.
How old a group is Right Said Fred in order for Ace to make the reference? Because the reason I ask is because that didn't come out. Well, maybe it did. Was that in the 80s? It seemed like that was like in the 90s or something.
I would have thought 90s,
Ace would
but
have left
I think
Earth
it was
in
late 80s.
Okay, so I'll give him that. That just seemed like an anachronism. Although we don't know. I mean, certainly these aren't all...
They were formed in 89.
Okay. And they were in the UK, so which would have maybe been more familiar with them than I was by the time I heard them. But yeah, I swore that was the early 90s.
And their one song.
Yeah.
I'm Too Sexy came out in 91, 92.
Yeah, so, I mean, and that's not to say that there haven't been adventures where they've returned to Earth for long enough periods of time that she might have heard them, but I just thought that was a bit of an anachronism because to me, it feels like she was pulled out of time in the late 80s, and then she's been venturing everywhere since.
I wonder how much of that is just because that's where the show was at the time that Ace showed up. You know what I mean? I mean, it was their run went up to 89. So, yeah, obviously she was pulled out in the late 80s because that's when she was on the show, and the show was on in 89.
Well, I think there's a reference to her era, to her decade or something.
Well, the boombox is definitely
well, it seems
that's
like,
a callback.
It seems like there's a ready-made reference somewhere for a date too, but I can't remember what it was.
I think you might be right.
I think there's even a date reference in Survival when they go
that's
back
the
to
one
modern.
Maybe that's the one I'm thinking of.
And that's after she had left.
Yeah.
I mean, because she was pulled out of time, obviously, because she wound up on that Dragonfire planet.
Right, and she left before she returned in Survival.
Right.
Because she was taken up in the time wind, so yeah.
Andy's already fixed this.
Yeah.
Once he gets
it may have been, she may have left Earth in the 80s or the 90s.
Or the 90s. Unit dating. What else about this story? Anything else that jumps out to anybody? I really had a good time listening to it, and I don't have a lot of bad things to say about it because you guys keyed me in on something that I had missed, and the little tiny nitpicky things was the Right Said Fred. It was just the little anachronism type things that I felt were anachronisms, but maybe weren't.
Another wonderful example of never judge a book by its cover, or in this case, an audio by its title. The Dark Husband, and it's a Seventh Doctor story. Oh, okay. I know where we're going with it. No, you don't. Sit down and shut up. You don't know anything.
Yeah.
I like this one a lot. I do wish, as you pointed out, Keith, that it feels like a little bit of a rut that Big Finish has gotten themselves into, and kind of that pattern with the Seventh Doctor stories in particular, where
and I'm sure it's building to something important.
Well,
let's hope now.
Big Finish seems to do that, putting these little recurring themes and then build to something. So I hope.
Well, now I hope so.
At least I hope.
For your sake, or you'll be highly disappointed.
Or they'll just drop it and stop doing it.
Divergent Universe wasn't working. We're done.
Yeah.
It just feels like we're getting the two sides of the pendulum, where it's either a really dark and foreboding Seventh Doctor story, or it's a kind of light, fanciful Seventh Doctor story. There doesn't really seem to be much in the middle ground. And with Ace and Hex, that we've had all the wars, so we've kind of been on this end of the pendulum for a while, and then every now and then you get a bang a boom, and it swings back the other way, and you're like, what is this? So this one kind of felt like
But I think it's sort of. I think Big Finish has tempered themselves based on the companion as well, because when Mel was with the Doctor, it was a lot more lighthearted, a little more upbeat, kind of the comedic Doctor that we're used to in the first part of the Seventh Doctor's era. Anything with Ace and Hex seems to be the more dark or more, I should say whimsical for the one side, because they're more dark, with that really reflected the later part of the Seventh Doctor's years. So I think Big Finish is taking those tempos, and that's why Bang a Boom,
whatever it is,
Bang a Boom is a lighter story, or a farcical because it's a Mel story. It's kind of like Paradise Towers. But then you take this one, and it's more like a Ghost Slide or a Survival or something like that, because it's an Ace story. So think there's-
Happiness Patrol
Yeah.
probably is.
Yeah.
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 More-
They're certainly taking those tones, I think, based on where the Doctor is.
But even and that may be done very much on purpose, because it seems like the Seventh Doctor era was a little bit of a, not just with the two parts of Mel and Ace, but you know, it bounced around quite a bit within Companions as well. So maybe they're just giving us that.
Probably.
All right. Well, Sean, what do we got coming up on the schedule?
Well, next week on the schedule, we are reading The Lost Skin by a friend of the show,
We're
Andy
going to
Frankenmallon.
review.
We're going to review. Well, yeah, we're not going to read it on the.
read it on the.
I think we might get into some copyright issues if we read it on the
Might be a
podcast.
problem.
Maybe.
We could sell it and make it audiobooks through Candy Jar.
There you go. Yeah.
We'll license it to them.
They won't have to. Yeah, they won't have to do
Not to
the.
get Terry Malloy.
They
They'll
won't
just
have
have
to
us.
do the.
I will totally read anything Candy Jar puts in front of me. Andy, you need some help with them audios? Well, call us. But yeah, so we'll be reviewing that, and we had previously done parts 1 and 2 of the novella, and this will technically be part 3. But I think we're probably planning on. I don't know about you guys.
Well, I think we'll have to
it's been
backtrack
rewritten.
because there's been some. It's been reworked.
Reworked,
Let's
Right.
put it that
Yeah,
way.
that's the word.
And then also on top of that, we have a short story that we skipped over when we did the Lethbridge Stewart quiz book. Cowpats, and I shouldn't have started that because I don't have it right in front of me and I don't know what the title is off the top of my head.
Cowpats and cowpokes? No.
It's in the back of the Lethbridge Stewart book.
Quiz book.
Quiz book. Lethbridge Stewart quiz book. I need to put all those words in there. It's kind of important.
Because the Lethbridge Stewart book is just kind of generic.
Yeah, well, one of those. But so we had held off on purpose.
Cowpats and Comfort
and
That's
Comfort.
it.
by Tim Gambrell.
So we will be reviewing both of those next week, and look for more on the schedule coming up soon, because I plan to have it finished this week finally.
Yeah, because it ends next week. So
Yeah.
I darn well better have
we
a plan
have
in place
run out
by
of
then.
stuff. Unfortunately, this tends to happen when we're coming up on New Who, because we don't know when it's going to launch, and so Sean has to kind of pare back the padding of the schedule. He usually goes out several dates, but knowing that we were coming up, he kind of inches up to the air date so that we don't put too much on our plate. So
Right. Or have to make last minute adjustments.
Keith and I certainly appreciate that too. So
Yes.
don't forget you can subscribe and listen to us on Apple Podcasts from the Google Play Store. We're also available on Stitcher, TuneIn, and Player FM. If that's going to do it for this week, until next week, I'm Glenn.
I'm Sean.
I'm Keith.
Cheers.
Good night, everybody.
Be seeing you.
Somebody find that on switch for Stonehenge.
Yeah.
Thank-
Idiot.
Thanks for listening.
You have been listening to Traveling the Vortex. Doctor Who and all of its associated programs are owned and trademarked by the BBC. No infringement is intended or implied.